Well, next, you have a message for your representative as well. Be like Josiah Magnuson. Stand with him for personhood. Call them up and say, look, Josiah has got it right when it comes to the pro-life message. He understands what's pleasing to God. He understands that. Have the courage to be consistent, right? We're so thankful for Josiah and his hard work in the house, and thankful that he's here with us today. And as Richard is to the Senate, so is Josiah to the House.
Thank you, Pastor Clark, and I'd like to begin by thanking several folks. First of all, my House colleagues, Jonathan Hill, Stuart Jones, John McCravey, and several others that have joined us this afternoon, or this morning still, almost noon. I also want to thank some of my volunteers, my lovely wife, Leanne, and some of my friends from Soldiers of Biblical Reformation. Appreciate y'all being here. We're distributing some booklets, Biblical Wisdom for the Statesmen, today to the legislators. What I'd like to begin with is to mention that there is truth and there are lies. And we have to stand for the truth. This battle about personhood and about abortion is all about drawing that distinction between truth and lies. You may have heard Joe Biden say, well, I'd like to choose truth over facts. Well, we have to have truth based on facts. You can't set facts aside and still think that you're operating in the truth. I'd like to read something here, begin and end with something from the Perfect Law of Liberty. And what I'd like to read is a quote from Christ, and he was talking to the Jewish Pharisees in his day. He says, "Ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it." We see that lies and murder are intrinsically connected because they both come from the devil. And as we address this issue of murder today, and as we address the issue of personhood, we have to remember that we're dealing with a spiritual battle. We are dealing with not just the issue of murder, but also truth. Now, Planned Parenthood recently put up a meme, a picture online, that says, "Human rights for all, no exceptions." Well, is that what they stand for? No, it's a lie. Obviously, we have to call them out on that. That's false. We need truth and facts. So let's look at some facts, some truth. Genesis 9:6 sets up the basic principle of justice. It demands protection of every human life. Exodus 20:13 commands, "Thou shalt not kill." It demands the protection of every human life. Exodus 21:22 through 25, there's a command for the children of Israel. And it talks about how if a pregnant woman is harmed by somebody and she gives birth prematurely, if that child were to die, then you have to punish those people that harmed her. And it actually says to require life for life. So it's an equal protection of all human life. And I would add that this actually shows God's compassion for the child, but also for pregnant women. We have to protect the mother from careless people around. And if that were followed in this culture of the children of Israel, you can imagine that it would have created respect for pregnancy and for women. Psalm 139, 13 through 16 explains that God uniquely fashions each person in the womb and already has the DNA of every person on record. Luke 1:41 beautifully shows that humans in the womb have emotions and are capable of worship. Now we looked at some biblical facts. Let's look at some scientific facts too. Each child in the womb, we mentioned DNA. DNA is unique. Every child has a unique DNA. It's never before existed, never going to exist again in history. We need to protect every single human being with unique personhood. Now, some say it's the mother's body, so it's her choice. It's a lie. Again, we need to stand for the truth. What is the truth here? The truth is that, did you know the unborn child actually has a different bloodstream than her mother? So when the nutrients come from the mother to the child, it passes over a semi-permeable membrane. The bloods never mix. And one example of why that's important is because there's different blood types. Have you ever thought about that? That there's type A, there's type O, type AA, or whatever, different A minus. Well, all of the blood types can't commingle. And so this is important that the bloodstreams never mix. So it's one body and another body. The mother's blood never mixes with that of the fetus. I want to address one other lie about from a scientific perspective that's gone on for many years. And you'll see this diagram hanging in many abortion mills, many offices of abortion doctors, and it's called embryological recapitulation. Has anybody heard of that? Well, it was promulgated by a guy named Ernst Haeckel, over 100 years ago. And his diagrams show supposedly how that humans start out as single-celled organisms and move to fish and then rabbits and then monkeys and finally become human. That is a lie. Human beings do not go through different evolutionary stages in the womb. They don't reflect, attributes of animals. They're always human, from conception until birth, and of course, as you stand here today, you're still a human being. Let me look at briefly some legal facts. We know that the Declaration of Independence enshrined the right to life in our fundamental principles. The Constitution put it in the Fifth Amendment. The 14th Amendment reiterated that right to life and applied it to the states. And at that time, 36 states and territories had outlawed abortion. Modern criminal law often treats the homicide of the unborn child as murder, but often exceptions have to be expressly carved out in the statute so they can keep abortion legal. Why would we allow that to continue? Why would we allow for laws to continue to attack unborn human beings? Let me finish with one thought, and then we'll go back to the perfect law of liberty in conclusion. The personhood movement has carefully crafted legislation to clarify that recognizing human life at conception would not affect contraception or place the life of the mother in danger. Another lie that you'll hear from the pro-abortion movement is that this is going to, affect women with miscarriages, and we're just trying to attack people. We're trying to take away their contraception. So many different lies that you'll hear. Those are all false. We're very careful about the language of the bill, and you can be assured that we place value on every single life. That's the whole point of personhood, is equal protection for every single life, both the mother and the child. You can help. You can support H 3920. You can also, as Senator Cash has emphasized, talk to your senators and your House representatives to end this practice of putting exceptions in pro-life bills so that we target certain classes of individuals. And I think you'll hear more about that today. H 3920 is the current personhood bill. It reflects language by then Senator Kevin Bryant, was who authored that bill. And again, stand for truth. We're on the right side of this issue. Personhood is biblical, personhood is scientific, personhood is legally correct, and we need to stand up for that. And let me close with two verses. God is speaking to us. He says, "Is not this the fast that I have chosen, to loose the bands of wickedness, to undo the heavy burdens, and to let the oppressed go free, that you break every yoke?" And he jumps down, he says, "Then shall thy light break forth as the morning, and thine health shall spring forth speedily, and thy righteousness shall go before thee. The glory of the Lord shall be thy reward." So if we want light and health and reward in our society today, what can be more important than bringing justice for the oppressed, the innocent, the voiceless? I challenge you to continue the fight. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being here today.